Okay, great. Well, thank you. So, as stated, I'm from Atheer. My name is Prusia, and I would say the title of this presentation is a massive mouthful. Choosing and deploying smart eyewear for fast professionals in large enterprise. So, to play a little joke, we know that's long. It's too big. So let's work together and shorten it. I think to make it a little bit more meaningful for all in the room, this is really what we'd like to talk about, which is where will AR first be used, and really getting into the why. Let's talk about, as an industry, as a group, where do we think AR is going to play, and what's the real meaning with AR this week, this month, this year, versus what it might be a decade from now. So does that resonate with the audience? Is that something we'd like to talk about versus the first title? Reasonable? Yes? Head nods? All right. So with that, let's first start with the big picture. So if we step back, at least this is the Atheer view, and I welcome a debate. If you want to have a discussion, let's talk about it. We think we're all pioneers in the room. So at the end of the day, we're all enabling a new way of interfacing with information that's really happening as we sit and speak and share ideas at the show, as we go back to our respective companies. We're all really pioneering a new area of compute. And what we mean by that is, if we jump back a few years, the invention of a keyboard and a mouse allowed us to interface with the web very effectively. And we could move a lot of information much faster than before without the mouse or without the keyboard. No surprise. But again, this is pulling information, as in I'm using a keyboard and a mouse to get info to me. When we think about the mobile movement and the touch screen, now we're using gestures on a surface, not having to type a keyboard, not having to move the mouse. The fingers or our motions on this display are the actual interface. And we're moving more information, and we're really transposing or transferring information in the field rapidly. And everyone across the globe has access to info that's flattening the world. If you take the next leap, though, and we think about AR, you could put a number of different devices up here. We're not suggesting this is the only device. But glasses are a really interesting way to think about it. And the reason being is the interface is all of a sudden the air, right? It's our hands. And the gesturing or what you're doing in front of you is actually communicating and bringing information to you. I think if we as peers in the industry, though, do it right, we're going to end up where AI and information kind of collide. And so instead of the user, who on the left with the PC is pulling information to them, on the cell phone you're pulling the information to you, with AI and AR kind of colliding, I think there's a great option for all of us to find ways that the information should really serve the user, and it should find us at the right time, right when we need it. So that's the things that are kind of helping our company, and I think the industry, get up in the morning and excited to go to work and try to change the world. That's also what's keeping us up late at night working with customers to try to help solve that. So at a high level, we think all of us in this room are creating the next generation of compute, and we're doing it together as peers. So it does, in fact, change how we all see the world. It also really changes how we interact with the world. And let's take some examples to kind of peel this back. When we talk about changing how we see and interact with the world, we have to talk about capabilities. And those capabilities, we think, are first most seen in the enterprise. And when we make that statement, you should, as an audience member or a peer in the industry, kind of say, well, why is that? Why do you think that's the case? Why enterprise first? It's my assumption, it's my belief, it's our company's belief that the enterprise has the biggest pain. They need efficiencies that they don't currently have without AR. They have risk factors they have to solve that are extremely expensive, so there's an ROI. They can afford to help us pioneer this space. And let's give you some examples. I'm chuckling because there's a few people in this room that will very much resonate with these next few pieces on the first use case. So let's take heavy machinery. And if you think about heavy machinery, the average lifespan of a machine in a field, Lonnie, is about how long? How long does a machine last?
30 years.
30? So the gentleman in the front is named Lonnie. He works at Caterpillar, and he says the average machine at the cat world lives for about 30 years. So who gets to go out and fix that machine? Is it a 30-year veteran on the cat line? Probably not. Those people have families. They don't have backpacks and a welding torch and a computer with them to go off and travel. They probably are hanging out with grandkids and not wanting to go out in the field. But an 18 to 25-year-old probably has a backpack, a welding torch, and a computer, and they can go fix it. The problem is the expertise sits somewhere else other than that 18 or 25-year-old. And so every hour, every day, every week, that big, heavy machine that's supposed to move lots of material sitting idle, someone's losing a ton of money, right? The customer is not happy. So the goal is, how can we take AR and take our challenge and bring the information to that field technician or even to the customer and help us triage the issue and fix it fast? And that's what AR is going to be doing for heavy machinery. If you keep looking, there's logistical challenges too. There's people that run around on forklifts with scanners. They get off the forklift. That's time away from moving material. They are walking from forklift to pallet to scan a barcode. That's a risk if the pallet falls on them. So there's some human safety. But the real issue is their job is to move packages from one location to the next with high accuracy, extremely fast. And today, they don't do it with as high accuracy as they could or as fast as they could. But if all of a sudden the forklift operator had a view of which pallet to pick without even having to look down, and simply while wearing a pair of glasses or even an interface in a cab, it was saying, that's where you're going, please head this way and pick up the yellow blinking pallet. And the minute it's picked up, he's getting a turn signal saying, rotate your forklift and head that way, and I'll blink the next spot you're dropping it off. We could save so much time, and we could make the accuracy immense. If you keep walking through the examples, the next one is insurance. So we have a customer, and there's many customers in this category that all of us are serving and exploring, which is that I insure buildings, and those buildings have issues, and when they have issues, I pay out money, right, to my insured. And so if I'm really a good partner to those insurance groups that I'm serving, I want to be proactive about where they have risk in their buildings. What's the number one thing that payout on an insurance company is for a building? Anyone have an idea? There's a hint up there with a droplet. Water intrusion, that's the number one payout if you're an insurance company on a building. So to avoid water intrusion, they have 900, sometimes thousands of people worldwide that proactively go out to the largest structures and they do surveys. And they basically look for problems before the problem really occurs. And so they're being proactive risk engineers. And they take lots of photos and they climb on lots of ladders. But now think about having 900 to 1,000 people climbing ladders and holding a cell phone while trying to balance over and look at a pipe, and someone's going to fall off that ladder. That's bad. In addition, they don't get to get on the roof, and the roof is the highest entrant of water intrusion. So wouldn't it be nice if you could take some tech, like a drone, you could take some tech like AR, and all of a sudden, all of your risk engineers could fly a drone on the top of a roof. You're seeing things you didn't see before. With the glasses, you could record everything you see. You could control the actual camera with your head motion, and you could have all of your voice to text go directly back to Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, pick your favorite back end, and you're not doing any reporting. And so you're saving an immense amount of time, and you're saving the insurance company a lot of money. These are the kind of use cases that are happening amongst us that we're all helping evoke as we speak. So it's not next year, it's this week. The last one is medical. I think that's somewhat self-explanatory. I think the compliance issues are much higher, but patient care, the goal is to focus on the patient, right? Not to focus on the monitor to my left. I've got a cable running in front of the surgeon that he has to step over. I've got medical issues as far as just cleanliness and trying to interface with displays and not touch them. So I think there's a great deal of applications with where AR is both today and where it will go. But if you simplify it, we just think of it like this. There's areas that are doing fixing, there's areas that are assembling, there's areas that are surveying, and there's areas that are treating. And we think at a very high level, it's also kind of cute, that the fastest path to the enterprise or the fastest path to making AR real is by being simply fast and focusing on these 4 categories. If you step aside, though, this isn't our dream as Atheer. It's not Lonnie's dream as Caterpillar. It's this room's goal to really make this next level of compute become real and solve real problems. And we're not alone. There's the Global 2000 are entering AR as we speak, doing their own investments. They're partnering with us on the floor, all of us. Fortune 500 is really leaning into it because they have big risk and big problems to solve. And the investment in R&D with AR is a real low barrier to them. They can make great impact for a few $100,000. So we're really excited to be a member of the AR community and help this become real. But I think the value that's being derived is pretty simple, right? If you take all these use cases of fix, assemble, survey, or treat, you kind of come up a little bit more. Most people are using AR to save some form of time. They're trying to become more efficient with their human capital, their investments in machinery, and get more bang for their buck. But also, there's usually an element of risk as well, which is there's some form of safety issue or a claim they're trying to avoid that costs them money. That's kind of the negative. The saving of that clock is probably more the positive. But either way, those 2 factors together create a great deal of wealth. And so we believe, at least from our own little view of the world from Atheer, that the largest of enterprises, both in the US and globally, are the first movers. So that's really the large enterprise first. And it's built on a proven go-to-market, right? They're all very pragmatic, smart business people. They run businesses for a living. And what we're finding is it's based on a very simple approach, which is, today I do something based on this method with these tools and this process. I'd like to come up with a pilot program that figures out how I can complement how I do it today by using AR. And I'm going to need some hardware, I'm going to need some software, I'm going to need some know-how, and then I want to test it in a lab that's safe, that no one gets hurt, but I see if it's real. And if it's real, I'd like to take it to the field and see if that can be extended and really work in a real tried and true environment where I can't control everything. And if that works, I'm going to go to production. And we're going to start rolling it out in the use cases that are highest reward, meaning biggest human life risks or biggest payoffs of time savings. And so what we've been doing over the past many years is building technology as both a collective here, but also as a company, Atheer, really just to build out the software and the hardware know-how to make these systems become real with some really powerful brands. What they're asking us to do is this. I'm the enterprise, and I have people in the field, or I have people in my factories or in my facilities, and they have technology. They have computers, and they have lots of handheld devices. And I have back-end systems that you cannot ignore, because I'm a business that has to record what I do and who I did it with, and I can account for it and create P&Ls that make earnings per share look wonderful. But I need your help as an AR community to bring me a new platform, and that little box in the middle is kind of all of us in this room. There's a solution between today's hardware and today's back-end systems that we're all inventing. And I think that what sits between those systems really is software. And then as a collective, we are building new hardware elements to bring new ways of collecting information. But that information will become kind of this new way of compute, and that works its way through this system through some really compelling software offerings that we're all inventing as peers. And I think that brings a great deal of insights to all of us, because there's not one pair of glasses today. There's glasses that cost $4,000. There's glasses that cost $400. And a 400 pair of glasses does not do what a 4,000 pair of glasses does, but they're for very different applications. So I want, and I hope we all enable, each of these great enterprises to explore each of the applications and use the right hardware for the right solution. And we bring software that allows that to be a very easy transfer, where they can take the same UI, the same use cases, but jump from case to case. So to kind of recap in our speed presentation here, AR is initially not a consumer play. That's the Atheer belief. I think Google went out with Google Glass and tried to make it a consumer play, and we can kind of all debate how that worked. But I think our view of the world, and I'm hoping the view of this room, is that enterprise is a really great start because the pain is high, there's dollars to help them really make a strong ROI case, and we can make a real big impact in the market. In addition, that therefore moves the enterprise being that first mover. But the killer app is really amongst us, right? We have to figure out what that killer app is. I don't know if there is one app for all AR. I don't believe that. I think there's some hints as to what AR can enable, and then we have to allow that to kind of be consumed one by one, case by case, enterprise or company by company. But with that, I think regardless, ROI is the most important thing before you even think about the application. What's the problem we're trying to solve for this customer? And then from there, we have to think about the ecosystem they live in. Think about their back-end systems. Think about the people they're already hiring and how quick they can train or use that in the world, because they have to move from where they are to where you want them to be enabled. And then I think the system expertise of this room is what we can help for the enterprise most, which is there's some software savviness on that floor if you go walk the main lobby that's beautiful. There's also some really great hardware smarts. But it's us working together as hardware-software partners to really build an ecosystem that plays nice with one another that's going to enable these enterprises to take full advantage of what we can do. And so I think one of the use cases that seems to be a pretty killer app that is common across many different floor demonstrations is the idea of a remote collaborator or remote expert, right? The premise of the smartest person is all of us is a pretty hard thing to fight. It's probably a pretty good truth. If I can tap the intellect of 2 people in this room, I'm a lot smarter. If I could tap the intellect of every single person in this room, oh my gosh, the solution we could come up with, if we could do it fast, would be phenomenal. And so the view of AR's potential, I think, is really to allow that social kind of networking of intellect to be brought to a certain problem that needs to be solved quickly, and we can get lots of eyes and lots of intellect to solve it fast because we'll get great deals of opinion. So we started off with a terrible title that I don't even remember. It's too long to repeat. It took the moderator that opened it up about 3 minutes to say it, and we all chuckled. We simplified it with, let's talk about AR and where we think it's going to be used. We've done our best to do that in a very short time. I hope it hit a milestone somewhere and kind of made you think. I think if you don't believe you're like this image, I think you're a little wrong. I think you are a pioneer. We'd love your help on kind of going and finding the West. But at the end of the day, I think that we're all making great strides to really make an impact on that kind of journey to what AR will become right now. And we're seeing it across fixing, assembling, surveying, and treating, and it's all tied around remote collaboration. So with that, I'm wondering how we did. Did we get you to start thinking about something? And I hope, if nothing else, you leave here and ask some questions of us, of your peers, and you kind of move the needle. So that's it.